All right. We have now come to biotechnology, and we're going to kill this estimate tomorrow. So the first part is, what is biotechnology? And remember, the word bio means living. Technology means something that's going to help us. So biotechnology is the use of living organisms to create stuff. Okay, stuff that's going to help humans. We have some main categories that we talked about: medicine, agriculture, and industry. But keep in mind, if we're talking about medicine or agriculture, well, we're still talking about genetics or manipulating the genes or the DNA, because that's the thing that we really change to create these new products. We manipulate the gene on a DNA strand, and that gives us a different product or a different organism. There are lots of food that have been genetically modified or are transgenic. And these are food that's in either as a baseline product or stuff we eat directly. So soy, oils that we cook off, eggs and rice that we eat, potatoes, all of these things have been modified. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just what it is. The next thing is, how does biotechnology work? Well, we're going to modify the genes or manipulate the genes to create a different or a slightly changed organism or a transgenic organism. So it alters the DNA. Often pieces of DNA are cut from one organism and inserted into another. We looked at how insulin is made, where they actually take out the human gene for making the hormone insulin, input that into certain bacteria, and that causes the bacteria to now make human insulin that can be collected. So that goes back to our medical part of it. Now, agriculture is really big. Agriculture is the growing of food or crops. So here's the word crops for commercial sale. So not gardening, but making a whole bunch. And what they've done now is they've altered plants to be resistant to herbicides, which are poisons. Okay, and that's going to allow the crops to grow better. They've also altered some plants to have a natural defense. Okay, a natural defense to pests. And what that does is allows the farmers to increase their yields. Remember, the word yields mean what they get back. So if I am spending less money to grow more food and I'm selling more, I am making more money. We spoke about the law of supply and demand. If the supply is higher, then it's pretty easy to make more money, or for us to spend less money, sorry, because there's so much of the food available. So that's one way of stabilizing food supplies in America. The other one we looked at is medicine. So in medicines, we're looking at gene therapy, antibiotics and vaccines, and also the use of stem cells, which are these undifferentiated cells that haven't have a purpose yet. And so this is where it gets a bit tricky in terms of the ethics of it. Is that when you're playing around and creating these new organisms, is that really fair to them? Things like cloning can tend to be a problem. So what cloning is when you are able to create a duplicate of the original source. So we have not we, but some scientists have gotten really good in the process of cloning not just bacteria and viruses, but also things like sheep and cows and other big mammals. So the question is, should we be allowed to clone even humans? Or if you remember your ed puzzle on designing baby, is it really fair or ethical to genetically alter your child before it's born, giving it some advantages, but also taking away that genetic miracle that happens of just natural fertilization? And so that's where the ethics comes in, that we've spoken about. So ethics are these moral decisions that we have to make. And sometimes they're not as clear as like a black or white issue. They do have some gray area, like with the gene splicing. If my child's gonna be born with a genetic disease, shouldn't I have the right to take that gene out so they won't have the disease? Well, then can I put a gene in, give them a special ability, extra brain power, more muscle density, any advantages? Well, that ends up being a very gray area because you're dealing with altering human DNA. And then happens is that if we have altered our plants and our animals, as these animals and plants co-breed with a natural plants and animals, what happens? Will they outcompete them? Will they change the natural species available on our planet? And then what happens to us when these chain events can go on? The last one will be industry. We talked about bioremediation, which is the use of microbes to break down toxic substances. And we looked at how we use those things in the sewage treatment of plant, but also in taking care of things like contaminated soil, or even when there are oil spills. If you remember one of your biotech web quests in that short video. So there are some issues with biotechnology, but there are some good things about it. So what I want you guys to do is, I hope you paid attention with the slide I shared with the questions. Okay, so here it is. So we went over these questions in class. These, along with your bell ringers. If you've been paying attention, I really have gone through the entire test already. It's just a matter if you paid attention and you were focusing. So hope this video helps. And I look forward to you guys succeeding well in your test tomorrow.